name is Chris A. Williams. I'm joined by my co-host,
Giovanni Paradise.
Y'all, today we have a very, very special guest. We have a serial entrepreneur who's not only built businesses here in the Hampton Roads area, but he's even expanded his businesses to Northern Virginia and the Richmond area and such. He started in the barber industry, and also he's expanded to the fashion industry and such. Y'all, meet Nado Garcia.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome, man. So what we do here on Let's Talk Assets, we kind of get a little background of our guests, man. We like to hear everyone's journey. So walk us through a little bit on how you grew up, where you're from.
So I was born in Jersey, lived about 5-6 years in Dominican Republic. From there, moved to Philadelphia, and that's where my family started their roots. And my family started corner stores, what we call the Poppy store, the bodega.
Yep.
So that's where we started at. My family's been doing that since the late 80s. My dad just kind of retired, semi-retired. He's
That's awesome.
So the corner store was kind of like my pillar where I first started at. And then from there, I left home and went to my military for a couple of years.
Well, let's take a pause real quick. You said you lived 5 or 6 years in the Dominican Republic.
Yeah, my first 5 years of my life, my mom sent me to my dad. My dad was still over there. He couldn't come to America yet.
Right when you was a baby, basically.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
about 5-6 years old.
Okay, so what was that like? I mean, growing up in a foreign country, because you got to remember it somewhat, right?
Yeah. So, but not only did I grow up there, I went every year. Every year we spent 3 to 4 months there also. So,
all your family and everything.
Yeah, my family started like slowly coming this way. Like, still have family in DR, not as much as it used to, but like it was partial. Like my mom's side of the family was all in America. My dad's side of the family was mostly in the Dominican Republic, and slowly it started coming here in the 90s and 2000s.
What was that like living over there, kind of growing up, going back over there? How did that kind of shape and mold who you are today?
I think the biggest thing with growing up in DR is any Hispanic, I feel like Hispanic culture is the family, how important family is. Like, and I treat my business as like a family too. Even though business is business, I treat it like a family. Because like I said, I grew up in a family. The guy at the front register was my aunt. The person in the kitchen was one of my uncles. The person that went and got the groceries for the stores were one of my cousins. So it's like, it's always been around family. So even the people that my dad did hire that was outside of family was treated like family, lived with us. So like I said, just seeing the family culture, you know what I'm saying? Like family was first. So it's like when I treat my businesses, I do treat people like my brother or my sister. And then like that just helped me out in business a lot.
That's beautiful. Love that. So you grew up in Philly, kind of after, New Jersey,
So Jersey, I was born in Jersey. That's the only experience I got in Jersey.
Okay.
Then off to the Dominican Republic. From there, we came to Philly, and then Philly till I was about 18, 19, military a couple years, and then went back to Philly for a year, then Virginia Beach.
What part of Philly you from?
North Philly, Hunter Park.
North Philly, okay.
And how was that, making that transition from the DR, not just going from the DR to the USA, but to Philly, which is a very different city?
So, like I said, the experience in Philly and Dominican Republic was very young. The only big thing I took from Philly was you were alone. Like I said, when you got there, we were one of the few Dominican families, and even though you had I grew up in a Puerto Rican black neighborhood majority. So like I said, like it was just adapting. My family still to this day doesn't know the language. Well, at least my mother and my father. Some of my aunts know the language, but like my mom still struggles with the English language. My dad still struggles. And like I said, it was because in those neighborhoods, you don't need it.
Yeah.
So we were, I wouldn't say picked on because I was this size as a kid. So I was never picked on, but people were like, hey, you're the outsider.
Yeah.
And as a kid, I looked at the outsider as a bad thing. Now as an adult, I look at the outsider as an amazing thing. That means I stand out.
How did Philly shape you growing up Philly, the north side of Philly? Philly's got a lot of culture, a lot of history, a lot of fame to Philly. You got Rocky, you got the sports, you got the cheesesteaks, you got all kinds of stuff. How did that Philly culture kind of shape you through your childhood years?
I feel like until high school, but before high school, I feel like Philly just, you see a lot of stuff that you don't usually see. Those neighborhoods were rough. Yeah. Like our corner stores were in very, very rough neighborhoods. So we seen like death, shooting, drugs. So like I said, and then my parents being so strict, you don't really notice it until you really get older. And you're like, oh, my parents keep me away from that. So like I said, Philly made you rough. Philly made you tough. Like I said, not a lot of things hurt me, and it's stuff that you got to go to therapy for, but not a lot of things hurt you when you're from Philly. A lot of things are like, it's normal. And it sucks that it's normal, but like just like neighborhoods like Kensington and Philly. Like you gotta walk by that, and it's nothing but drug addicts. And like I say, if you're until you leave Philly, you think that's normal. Like the things you see, like the shooting, the stuff like you think it's normal because that's all you see. And like in Philly, you stick to your neighborhood, so you don't see the outside. Like now going back to Philly, where I can afford a hotel downtown, where I can afford to travel around Philly, I can afford all the restaurants that Philly. Culture is beautiful. But as a kid, I didn't get to enjoy that. Even though my parents were in a better situation than most, we our traveling was our spending money, us going to DR and us having the restaurants and all that in DR. Like my parents never spent money at home. We ate at the corner stores, we ate at home.
Wow. That's beautiful. And did you grow up like only child? You have siblings?
Nah, so I grew up as a huge family,
Yep.
a Hispanic family. So there was 30 cousins down the street, 20 cousins here. As far as siblings, I have a younger brother and a younger sister, but we had a huge age gap. So I was 8 by the time I had a little brother and 10 by the time I had a little sister. So I left the house 16, 17. So we never had that. My brother and me have a great connection. Me and my sister kind of like fell apart not fell apart. Like we have as my sister, but it was a huge age difference.
Yeah.
So by the time she got around 8, 7, where I would spend time with her, I was gone. But my siblings, like I said, my dad really like put a lot of effort into make sure that we got the best we could. So like my sister went to like sort of private school. It wasn't a private school. It was just like call it a select school. You had to have certain grades, certain money to get there because you had to travel there. It's not like you walk to that school. So my dad really put us in those type of schools and made sure my sister and my brother, he was super strict, but we didn't understand how the strictness of him was because he didn't want us to end up like rest. And like I said, my brother's an engineer in Germany. My sister's a doctor.
Nice.
So
That's beautiful.
what he did worked.
Absolutely. That's beautiful.
You were saying that you left the house at 16 or 17, which is not normal at all. Most people say.
Yep.
So
tell us about that.
So that was the stuff I was talking about. Stuff you go to therapy for. Me and my father knew how to work. My father was the best provider you can find. One of the best providers I ever met in my life. But also he didn't have the TLC to him. So and that's something like a lot of especially in the Hispanic and Black culture. We grow up where it's like I gotta provide, I gotta go get it. So it's 2-3 jobs, working 9 to 9. So it's not by the time you get home, you're exhausted. So the TLC wasn't there, and then as a kid you retaliate to that. So me and my dad bumped heads a lot in my teenage years and adult years, a couple young years. I have a great relationship now, but in the teenage years, I didn't understand what he was doing. He didn't understand what I was doing. So we bumped heads, and I was just like, my senior year in high school, I had a girlfriend, I had a house. I'm like, I'm out of here, bro. And like I said, but I got the opportunity to. That's when I started exploring culture in my high school and stuff like that. And that's why I started learning about music. And like I said, I grew up in a real Spanish household. There was no, till this day, you walk in my house, you don't hear English music.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so like I didn't know what hip hop was until high school, and then like once I started like listening to hip hop, my buddy produced. That's when I got into the DJ culture.
That's awesome. So let's take it to your senior year of high school.
Mm-hmm.
Where was Nado's mindset? Like, what did you want to do? What was your plan? What were you thinking after high school? I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z. What was your mind?
So work. That's really what it was like. How can I make money? That's what. So at the time, funny part, I tell people all the time, my first job outside of working with my family in their stores and corner store was a magic store.
Really?
At the airport.
That's
so you can imagine, I was 6'4", 300 pounds, inside of a airport terminal trying to sell magic tricks.
That's cool.
So like, that was my first job. Then I went from like that to like selling blankets during Christmas time, like the hoodie blankets. So it was just like I had to get a job.
It was a hustle though.
It was just like whatever, like and like it was like, yo, whatever I can do, whatever I can go get. And that's how I kind of learned the sales. It was like, yo, this is the hardest thing to sell. Somebody is rushing through the airport, and I gotta try to sell them on a magic trick. You know what I'm saying? Like most people that go to the magic store, to the airports, you already know these are expensive. These kiosks are just trying to scam me. So it was hard to try to sell that stuff. But like me and my buddies from high school, we had like 4 or 5 jobs inside the airport, and they just looked out for each other. Like, yo, there's this job opening. You go get this one, you go get this one. So that's how it was. Like that senior year, I was just working. I wasn't even going to school most of the time. Like I said, I was living with my girlfriend, so. Her mom's like, yo, as long as you're doing something not illegal, like, I don't care. Like, so it was just like I was working at the magic store, working at the kiosks during the Rosetta Stone. I did Rosetta Stone.
Mm-hmm.
I did was the Veggie Tales. Like I was hustling, man, but it was owned by the kiosks were owned by the same person. So he was like, "Yo, you want to work here today, just to get more hours?"
100%.
Then UPS did that for about 3 months, and then like a couple of my friends had joined the Marine Corps, and I'm like, "I should take it out of here." And then it wasn't even like I wanted to join the Marine Corps. I wanted to be.
This post high school.
This is still like my senior year. A lot of my friends were signing up for the military, so unfortunately, I needed the signature from my dad to do it. So when I went,
Because you were 17?
17.
Okay.
So when I went to him about it, he said, "F no." I
Really?
was like, "Hey, bro, like I want to join the military." He's like, "I'm not signing the paper, and your mom's not signing the paper." So I waited till I was 18 and joined the military just to get out of Philly. I just wanted to escape.
So, go ahead.
Why the Marines though? Because the Marines are hardcore.
Honestly, I didn't know nothing about the military, bro. I had no idea about the military. Let me see, 1, 2, 4 people from my high school. Mind you, my high school was tiny. We had 67 graduate seniors.
Oh wow,
and that's everybody graduated. Super tiny school. It was like chapters of the school.
this is public school.
Yeah, but we had chapters. So total it was like 300 some students. But our chapter only had 67 seniors. So out of 67, we had like 4. One is still my good friend, is still in the military, and 3 other kids that joined the Marine Corps. Nobody else joined the military. I'm like, all 40 joined the military. I'm gonna go too. And that was it. It wasn't no like, oh, the Marine Corps. I know about it. I had no idea. 4 of my friends was joining, and everybody, those on the seniors, class was joining the military. I'm like, that's what I'm gonna do. And it was just like, it's an escape from Philly. That was my thing. It was probably one of the best things I did.
Absolutely. So, join the Marine Corps. You obviously, your parents weren't with it when you were 17. So you waited till you
My father wasn't with it. He's the leader of the house.
Gotcha. Your mom was coming around.
Mom was just like
follow his lead type.
follow the lead.
Okay. So 18, you grown man. By the legal standards, boom.
Sign the papers.
What was Dad's reaction? Pop's reaction?
Didn't talk to me.
Really?
Nah, didn't speak to me until I graduated from boot camp.
Wow. Well, did he ever tell you why?
Yeah. He had his family in the past, back when Dominican Republic was under dictatorship and all that. One of his uncles was a writer and was killed by the Marine Corps. Which, if I understood that story beforehand, that's the thing with my father. He wouldn't communicate. He's like, "You're a child." I say, "No, that's it." But if you would have told me that story, my mindset probably would have been different about it.
Gotcha. Absolutely. So in the Marines, what'd you do?
I was a StatCom operator. We basically the direct chiefy of the Marine Corps.
Love it. Love it. So you're in that field. What was being in the Marines like? Everyone's got a different experience or their version of what being in the military.
The military showed me the world. So I'm very grateful for the military.
How many years total were you
I
with?
just did 4.
Did 4?
I did the 4 one contract. The military showed me the world. There's places that I probably would have never went at 18, 19, 20. Dubai, Bahrain, road to Spain. Just in general, Georgia. I would have never, a Philly kid would have never said, "Yo, I want to go to Georgia." Nah, I went to Georgia. I went to South Carolina.
Is that where you were stationed?
I was stationed in North Carolina. But
Camp Lejeune?
Camp Lejeune,
Yep.
My school was in Georgia. We sat there for 6 months.
Okay.
So, like I said, there's places that I probably would have never went. Indiana, I seen a tornado in Indiana. As a Philly kid, I probably would have never said, "I want to book a flight to Indiana."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, you got to see so many places and so many different things and meet people. Because I said, in Philly, you meet Philly people. You might get a couple Jersey people to come over, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, here, I'm sitting here and it's like, "You're from where, bro?" "Texas." "How's that like?" And I learned so much of different cultures and music and stuff like that. Like, not just music, but just in general. Like, I never heard country music before.
Yeah.
So my roommate sitting here listening to Johnny Cash. I'm like, "Yo, this is amazing. This is basically English bachata."
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
Funny anything about it.
yeah, but like country music is English bachata, and I fell in love with like all types of music. I'm at karaoke bars. I know a Philly kid would never went to a karaoke bar to sing Johnny Cash, but here I am. My brother still jokes with me. He's like, "Yo, where's the old Nado at?"
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So at the 4 years was up, your contract was up. What made you not renew? What made you get out? What about?
Initially, like I said, like a lot of the selection of places that we had in our field wasn't very great. And like I said, I was having trouble with like weight, stuff like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was overweight at the time, like, in the military, and like I was just having a hard time with the physical stuff. Like, just towards my end of my enlistment. And I just said, being 20 years old, 21 years old, I was just not rationalizing like hey, yo, bro, this is a great career for you. But
Yeah.
like, I was just looking at it like, I'm about to go home and get rich with my dad, like, just stuff like that. And
That was your mindset?
my mindset was going back to working for my dad. Me and him had talked about, my mom was talking about opening up a new store, and I was going to run that store. And then in the meantime, I was going to run my dad's stores. So that was a mindset. And I was just like checked out of the military. Like, it was just like, I didn't feel the love. I didn't feel like, there's a lot of personal stuff that like, I wasn't realizing that I was reflecting like my childhood stuff. So like, you know what I'm saying? Like just doing dumb stuff. Let's just say that, you know what I'm saying? For example, like I was doing dumb stuff that created more dumb stuff, that created more dumb stuff that was like, I could have still re-enlisted, but then there was like, yeah, you're going to Japan though. I'm like, I don't want to go to Japan.
Yeah, that's far.
Yeah.
So, but with your time in the military, what are some of the valuable lessons that you learned that you apply to business today?
Just the people are people, man. There's so many different people. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I tell people all the time, like, when people say, like, and let's just use barber, for example. People, you go to a black barber shop, they're like, oh, I can cut his hair. Wow, you're a barber, you cut hair.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I noticed in the military. That's one of the biggest things. Like, you go into these barber shops and they're beautiful, but they can't cut certain hair. But then you go to the hood barber shop, they can cut everything, but you don't feel comfortable there. So I got to experience a lot of, like, different avenues. Like, you go to the Spanish clubs, there's white people there. If you go to a Spanish club in North Philadelphia, you're not going to see a white person there. You might not even see a black person that's in that neighborhood. But in the military, you got to see everything together, like a mesh pool. So, like, now as an adult and as a business owner, I want to cater to everybody. And like I said, with the streetwear, it is catered to one demographic, which is a streetwear demographic, but also it's not just for blacks, or it's not just for whites. It's not for, and that's what a lot of people do with their businesses underline. Yeah. They'll be like, black business this, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, of course, you can't go out there and say white business this because now you're racist. But, it's like, you see the ads where it's like, own black business, which is great because it's an accomplishment for black people, an accomplishment for Hispanic. Somebody like me, like, I tell them, you look at my truck, you look at my arm, you look at, I have a Dominican, everything. Why? Not because I only want to rock with Dominicans, because most of my clients are black or Hispanic or white. But I'm proud of where I'm from. And I'm proud of, what I've accomplished. Because I tell you the truth, like I've said this before, I used to be ashamed and scared to be Dominican at one point in my life.
Why is that?
It was just because you didn't fit in. Because it was a black Hispanic neighborhood, there was no Dominicans like that. So like, now you go to Philly, is Dominican flags everywhere. But like I said, I was afraid to talk about I was Dominican because the Puerto Ricans at the time wasn't rocking with us.
Mm-hmm.
The match wasn't rocking with us. It was like, you're afraid. Like, literally, I went like a year like where I was afraid to tell somebody I was Dominican.
So you get out the military, move straight back home?
Straight back home.
With your parents?
With my dad and my mother are separated. So with my father, which is funny because they live 4 doors apart.
Really?
Yeah, still to this day live 4 doors apart. He lives on top of the store and mom lives 4 doors down.
Oh, wow. So boom. Were your pops and you're working in the family business?
Yeah, on my dad's living room on a mattress.
Okay.
Running my dad's businesses. And we bump heads. Like I said, all the childhood trauma and all the stuff that we didn't deal with. And that's what I tell men, deal with your stuff.
Yeah.
As I said, you can't make nobody feel good. You can't sell nothing if you can't sell yourself. But me and my dad was bumping heads a lot, arguments and stuff like that. And I said, you know what? I'm out. And he was like, bet, get the F out. And I came to Virginia with a backpack on the DJ turntables, and the mother of my kids let me sleep on her couch.
Was this your first time in Virginia?
So the mother of my kids was stationed here. So
talk us about when you became a father.
Oh, I became a father at 19. I was in the military. Became a father twice in the military and once outside the military. So I have 3 kids.
That's through from you met your.
I met my
military.
Yeah, so me and the mother of my kids went to boot camp together, actually, but we didn't know each other at boot camp. And then I got stationed in Georgia, and she actually lived in Georgia, so we connected that way. We was together for a while, and then when I moved, she was stationed here in Virginia Beach, and then I moved to Virginia Beach. And literally, she took me in. I had nothing to my name, bro. I had nothing but I had a truck, I had my turntables, and I had a seat bag worth of clothes, and I said, I'm gonna figure this out.
And you were what, 22, 23 at the
time? 22, yeah.
Wow. So how did you go about figuring out, like, networking, meeting people?
I said I was going to DJ. This was like when Craigslist was still a thing. So what I did was, don't get me wrong, I worked odd jobs to make sure I stayed afloat. But I I said I was going to DJ. I said I was going to be a full-time DJ, and I don't feel like my talent was there yet. So what I did was I went looking for a mentor, and DJ Raw Bass.
Yeah, I know Raw. He's a good dude.
Very good dude. So Raw Bass.
Been in the game for a long time.
I put an ad up looking for a mentor, lessons, DJ lessons. He hit me up, came to my house, ended up being my roommate for 4 years.
Oh, wow.
But he came to my house, and we was in an empty room, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm looking for a new place to live." I'm like, "You can rent this room. Just give me lessons." So he rented the room. And I used to just follow him around for like, I would say a couple months. I'll follow him around. He'll let me like do like the opening sets. And then I was like, I got to do more to brand myself. How can I brand myself? My baby mom had a Canon T3i. At the time, this was before everybody got it. Now everybody had a camera. This was before content, before all that. It's 2012, 11. So what I did was I took the camera and I took pictures at all the parties. I was already going with him to the parties. So I'm taking pictures of every party, and I put the Nado logo on all the pictures. So now when I'm dropping this on Facebook, people are like, "Who's Nado?" So everybody thought I was a photographer. So the first time I get a DJ set, they're like, "Oh, you DJ too?" I'm like, "No, I'm a DJ." The picture is just advertising.
Where'd you get the idea of branding?
Branding?
That's a great idea.
Because branding wasn't a thing back then. You know, so we didn't really want.
I was trying to figure out a way for everybody to see my name. And then I knew logos was a thing at the time. Like people would put logos on everything. You remember when like people like watermark everything real big?
Yep.
So I just put the Nado logo, and I had like a real clever logo because it's the love part, the NADO. I put the N just like at the love part, same letters and everything. Created the logo myself. I think on like some like app or something like that. And I put it on every picture. Every picture I took, and I was just snapping. Them pictures suck. I can show you on Facebook. Them pictures suck. But like I said, people like reposting those pictures, and they had the Nado logo on it.
We gave you some authenticity, gave you some credibility.
Nobody was doing it.
Absolutely.
These clubs had no photographer. I noticed like the bigger clubs, like of course, I would say the Blacks and Hispanic clubs, they have photographers. The Edge, Chemistry, Sandbar, and none of that. So I'm just sitting there taking pictures for free, putting my logo on there. I'm already there. And then when I started doing opening sets, then I started filling in for when DJs can't make it, because the bartenders knew me because I'm always there. And then from there, started DJing 2-3 nights a week. And then it was, I'm not going to say the club, but I walked in the club one night, and the promoters and the owners are counting out money. They handed me $150, did half a gig. Now I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, yo, $150 a night, I'm good. The promoter counted $12K in front of me and handed me $150. And I was like, hold on, I'm doing this wrong. And that's what I got into promotion. And I was like, I got to promote myself, my own brand. I'm a brand myself. So I started doing like local like hip hop parties, local artist showcases, DJ battles. And it's like, I literally watched this dude count 12K, hand me $150. Like, no remorse. And like I said, that's business. Like, that's what he told me he was going to pay me $150. That's what I asked. I asked $150, he paid me $150. Paid me what I said. But I watched him count 12K. And I know I put 100 people in that building that day. I'm like, hold on, we got to switch the ball game up.
Absolutely. I love that. So you a little bit older now that you've been in the game for a while. When you first started, you saw that, right?
Yeah.
Well, but I mean, for people that's watching, and what I think the lesson to learn there is, you identified that, hey, this is what I'm gonna do. I don't exactly know how I'm gonna get there, but I know I'm gonna get there. And then to reach out and to ask for a mentor, and then kind of just slow grind. I mean, because you wasn't making money.
Oh my God, no.
You were struggling in the beginning, right?
Yeah, and also like it's just talking to everybody too. I tell people all the time, like, just don't put yourself in a box. Don't sit in the corner. If you're in a building, even if you're not making money, go talk to somebody. There's money in there.
Yeah, because I mean, we met each other in the club. I was working in the club back then, and you know, a lot of people that watch this, they know my story that I lost everything, and 2 years ago, literally 2 years ago today, I was working in the club, rebuilding my life, and to support myself, because it is good money, the club money, and it also allows you to do other things during the day.
The people you meet,
absolutely, met a lot of great people there. So I think that the lesson that to be learned from what you said is there's beauty in the struggle, and you kind of had the perseverance. A lot of people, when it doesn't pop or it doesn't bubble right away, they quit. Yeah, so you saw it through. So okay, you started promoting, and I think I met you when you were more of sort of a promoter than
I was DJing promoting
at the
we met
at Rye.
at Rye.
Yeah, is what I remember you more.
So she gave me a great opportunity. I give Mary and John a lot of credit. 'Cause like I
Yeah.
said, I went to Mary and John, and they were going to be a Lebanese restaurant,
Yep.
and I was like, hey, what? I don't know the kid's name, but the kid was like, hey, nigga, you want to DJ this place? I'm like, bro, they're a Lebanese restaurant. I'm like that block right now, popping. I'm at Shaka's popping. I'm throwing my own my shows. I'm good, right? I'm making good money at that time. What I thought was great money at the time. You know what I'm saying? Like now, compared, it's like, oh, that was cute. But like I said, like I was making great money for where I was at. You know, I was paying my bills. That was one important part. I was taking care of my kids. So Rye comes in, they're like, hey, you know, want to do a hip hop night. It's like Thursday night, which is funny because if you ever went to Rye,
All international. I used to.
Yeah.
That's how I met. John. I used to go to the international.
Tuesday nights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fun, man. It was different. Different vibe.
different vibe.
You don't really get that around.
So they did an international night, did one hip hop night. Then around that same time frame, that's when Fuego had shut down, and that's when all those promoters came over. And it started popping. Rye was it.
I love Rye. I miss those days.
I'm talking about people used to come from Newport News just to party at Rye. And this is at the ocean front for real.
That shit was legendary.
Yeah. So Rye, Mary just stuck with me, man. I give her credit. Like even when we had our disagreement, I went off and became a manager at another club. Once I left that club, she took me right back in. Like it felt like a family. Like, literally, I would DJ at Rye, spend the night at their house smoking hookah till like 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning. By mind you, all I did was DJ at the time. Literally, I was family, man. Like what Mary and John created for me, it was like, and then I met so many people that I grew with in there. I met Carlos there, I met Nick there, I met G there, I met everybody that in my life now, some sort, like as far as business, I met through Rye. So, like I said, I give her credit.
Mary's coming on the podcast too. She's on the lineup.
That's amazing.
And she took a whole nother direction and blew up.
That's crazy, yeah, because it went from club to like.
That's why all the relationships you make in the club, look what everyone has done now. So you're working in the club, you know, now fast forward a little bit, because when did you get started going into another lane? Let's talk about barbering first, because you mentioned barbering.
Okay, so barbering came from, I said I was in the military, so I did GI Bill.
Okay. Yep.
I knew I wasn't good at school. I wasn't good at school in high school. I don't like school. I tried it a couple times after the military, like online school. It just doesn't click for me. You know what I'm saying? Like some school, like I like trades. So I'm like hands-on. I like, you know, seeing the flip. So what I did was I was like, in my head, I was like, I'm going to take up as many trades as I can, because we all know the club is up and down sometimes. The DJing stuff, you might have 30 gigs one week, and then the next week, the new hot thing comes around. And they don't
Peace to family.
So that's the nature of the beast when it comes to the club. And I started understanding that. So I'm like, I'm going to learn a whole bunch of trades and have them in my back pocket just in case. So the first one was car automotive. I went to the school and they're like, we don't take the GI Bill. I'm like, oh, this is not going to work for me, because I'm not out of pocket trades if I have this free money. So then somebody I consider my brother, his dad was a barber. He was, I want to do barbering. So I'm like, let me stop by this barber school. Hit him up. Y'all take the GI Bill? Like, yeah, sign me up. So honestly, barbering was just something I wanted in my back pocket. It was never something that I was going to do full time. It was nothing that I didn't want to open up shops.
The reason why I asked you, because it's funny, right? Because, you know, I'm Puerto Rican, you're Dominican. I always tell people, like, we kind of boring cutting hair. It's like, it's a culture thing. Like, you know, we cut each other's hair growing up. So that's interesting that you did it kind of later in life.
Yeah, I was never interested in the barbering industry. I looked at it like an opportunity just in case. And then as I'm in school and as I'm involved and as it being around my own barber at the time, being in his shop, I'm like, hold on. And then I started going to other barber shops and started like, oh, you're doing this wrong. And I was like, oh, I'm very good at this business stuff. So I was like, I'm going to open up a shop, but I'm going to open it up to let other people work in it, not me work in it. Like, but just use me as the pillar to, like, you know, spark off the barbershop. So I worked in.
Can you tell us real quick? There's a lesson in that. So the mindset. Can you walk us through that mindset? Because that's you just dropped the jewel, but if people ain't listening closely, they won't pick it up. You wanted to do what? You didn't want to get the license to become a worker.
I didn't want to be a barber. I wanted to be an owner.
Exactly. So that was just a tool and a pathway.
Yeah.
Right?
So what I said, I used the barbering to have knowledge. So like I said, I'm just not buying a building and putting people in it I don't know nothing about. I wanted to know the industry. And as I was saying, you got to study the industry before you do it. You know what I'm saying? Like you study a book before you take the test.
Absolutely.
So I went to one of my friends that was in the school with me. He was a manager at a barbershop. He was just getting his license. He's like, yo, Nado, we give you some help. You want to come, rock out the barbershop? We got the clientele. Crazy. I'm like, I guess. I said I wasn't fully interested in cutting hair yet. So I went to that, and that's when I was like, yo, I can do this for real. And like I said, even at that shop, I didn't build clientele. Clientele wasn't for me. Let's just say that. You know what I'm saying? It was just like, I didn't build no clientele there, but I started noticing the good and the bad. And I started noticing how I can do this business thing pretty good. I got my instructor license. I'm like, I'm going to teach here. I'm going to teach here and open up schools. That's what I'm going to do. And then I was having a hard time with the shop I was in. Like I said, sometimes you say you have hard times, but it just means that you don't belong there.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just the universe trying to push you out of there.
100%.
So I was having a very hard time with that shop, and I ended up going to the guy that sold me the first shop, Jay. He owns the parlor,
Mm-hmm.
so he had the parlor on Granby, and I went there for a cut-a-thon for veterans, all connecting the dots.
That's beautiful.
So he was like, I was telling him all my frustrations where I was at, and he was like, "Come work for me." Mind you, no clientele, no money. As far as barbering, I was making money outside of barbering.
You still in the club at this point?
Yeah, heavy.
Okay.
Heavy.
So
This is the ride days.
Okay.
So money wise, I'm
You straight.
Yeah. So start cutting hair. He says he's gonna close the shop down because it just doesn't. He doesn't foresee it making money. And I was like, let me buy it.
Mm.
And we scrambled a couple of hours together and had to pay him monthly and all that good stuff. So we got that shop. That was the first one on Granby Street. Had it for 7 years now.
That's beautiful.
3 years later, I opened up Newport News. We sold that shop, used it as a flip. Opened up the ODU a year later. Opened up Little Creek last year.
That's beautiful, man.
We have salon suites and barber suites now for rent.
That first one you purchased, what inspired you to take that leap of faith to actually? Because he was shutting down the shop because I'm assuming wasn't.
You bought a failing business.
So we went into business together initially.
Okay.
And his vision was like, this is not going to work.
Yeah.
I was like, let me just take that completely. So initially we bought back into it together. And then he was like, this is not going to work. He stuck with what he had. And he's a very, very successful barber as far as like online. He teaches at school.
Well,
His barbershop does amazing. So like I always give praise to Jay because, man, that guy is amazing at what he does. Like I said, I never wanted to be the best barber. I wanted to be the best business owner.
How did you make it? How did you from the beginning, because you were still relatively new to that type of business?
Hell yeah. So business is business. I tell people all the time, like if you understand business, if you understand, even like I said, people be, some people frown upon it and some people don't. But if you know the streets, you know the business, you can write your business. You know what I'm saying? People be like, what do you mean by that? And they don't like, think about you sacrificing your life to sell something. Inside.
Yeah.
You come in here, you don't got to sacrifice no life. So it feels easy. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that like every drug dealer is going to turn into a businessman, but if you know drug dealing, you know business. So like, I studied the drug dealer. Like, I studied the drug dealer. Like, I studied like this guy is sacrificing his life to make $1,000 where I can just easily sit in this barber chair and make $1,000.
And you could correct me if I'm wrong. In the barbering business, a lot of that, the way you generate income is by having other barbers.
It depends. It depends what kind of barber you want to be. I tell people all the time, if you want to be an owner, you generate money off of the barbers. If you want to be a barber, it depends if you want to pay somebody for the rest of your life. You want to have a suite, you want to have your own building. And that's what I'm saying. That's where I'm going into. And like I said, this is something that I'm working on. My 3-year plan is like consolidate all my shops and schools into one big warehouse that I own. So you can never take that away from me.
I love that. Owning the real estate, owning that asset. Yes, sir. So you grew the business. When did you start? At what point you had the first shop? Did you start thinking about scaling? Going immediately?
As soon as I knew I had the right people, because like I said, it's all about the right team.
100%.
As soon as I had the right team in there, I knew that each one of those guys were owners sooner or later. So we start scaling it with I'm like, yo, as soon as we get out.
So you empowered your circle.
Yeah, for sure. I tell people all the time, like, if you want to grow as an individual, you go sit in a fucking.
Go ahead.
You go sit in a fucking suite and you go make as much money as you can. If you want to build a business, you need a team. And it don't have to be everybody has to be an owner, but you need good managers, you need good people, you need a good team. Like I said, I don't make no money if my team's not good.
Yeah.
I got an opportunity to speak this weekend, and I was telling people the same thing. Like people ask me, "Is like how'd you scale?" I said because I got a great team. I got great people I trust. I was like, you can go far alone, but you go further together. You know, and I think that's a valuable lesson. What you did, you already was like, dang, okay, I see something in these people. I could trust them, and now we can grow further together.
And that's what I said, like, and then you think about it, like everybody brings something different to the table. I got a barbershop co-owner that's used to be an accountant.
And I also want to bring up something that you do that I haven't had the pleasure of attending, because it seems like every time you have one of these events, I'm always out of town or got something going on. I've always wanted to go.
Barber classes.
No. Hey, Ma.
Oh, hey, my yeah.
So talk to us about that, because that's a bigger scale event. It's not like, it's not a nightclub, a small bar, DJ. That's a big scale event at a major venue.
Yeah. So what we did was, like I said, I've always stayed in touch with the clubs and the business. Like I said, I've owned the restaurant, I've owned the club. So what I did was I've always stayed in touch with my own little, like, just take, little events, you know what I'm saying? Like here and there. Just for, like I said, it's enjoyable. It does make a lot of money, but it's enjoyable. So I've always wanted to, like, you know what I'm saying? Like the kid with no toy. I still want to have my fun, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So Hey Ma was one of my good friends that I've been doing work with since I was a Shaka and the Edge. Yep. He threw an event and me and my friends went to it. And I'm like,
is that Boss Bag? Yeah.
Well, Sugar Bear is actually
Sugar
this show was in this
okay.
Show.
I know
he threw
him too.
it first.
Okay.
And then so we went to Sugar Bear's event. It was all R&B party. So me, Boss Bag, Dude, he's a soccer trainer out of Norfolk, and he coaches the HU football team, soccer team, not football. Dude, Paul, Fleazy, like those guys, we all went to the party. I'm like, hold on, it's something here. So we told the Sugar Bears, we teamed up all together, and we started throwing them monthly.
At the Scope? Or was you first started?
So we started Hey Ma. The first one the first one he did was that Seaside.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, we scaled to Chicho's on Granby Street.
Okay.
We were throwing them there frequently. And then when the R&B block party was with Boss Bags led, he teamed up with Tonio and Family. That's the Boss Bag. So, like, they've taken that to a whole other world. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the Scope, Soul Diary. That's amazing what those guys are doing right now.
Absolutely. So you're in the barber business, right? You're in the nightclub business. You scale in the barber shop. What makes you have a desire for more? That's a lot. I mean, anyone that's been in nightlife knows that that's a lot.
I feel like, and like I tell people all the time, I feel like I like creating. Like I like seeing, like I've watched, my family like take their money and open up another store, go to Dominican Republic and buy some land and build houses and build apartment complexes and stuff like this. And like, it was never like I said, like, why stop? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I enjoy creating. I enjoy being able to make these deals, buy, selling, trading. And then that's when I'm kind of like, I had a barber. Like I said, everything comes from within. I had a barber. I was like, yo, like he was telling me like, yo, vintage clothes sells, thrift clothes sell. And I'm like, I hear you. It sounds good, but I'm good. And
kept trying to push you.
He was just bringing it up because it came from fashion. It was like a couple of clients that come in, like, yo, where you get your clothes from? I didn't dress up at the time. I was a Adidas joggers, Adidas 350 guy. Like, where I'm at, like, I don't need to dress up if I'm making money. But so, like, I started like wanting to explore more. Because, like I said, when you walk outside and you look good, people respect you more. And then people don't realize that. Like, people will be like, "Oh, I can't believe you spent X, Y, Z on this." But I'm like, when you see it, you're like, "Hold on, this got to be." You want to have a conversation with that person.
Yeah.
For like example, like if you're a watch guy and you see somebody with a Rolex, you're like, "Yo, I want to have a conversation with that guy." Mm-hmm. But now we both Rolex guys, both, so we can build that connection. So that's why you might see me and like I talk all the time, like even with the gym, that's one of the best marketing places in the world. So when I go to the gym, I do have some nice sneakers on, and people be like, "Yo, why you wearing those sneakers?" It's gonna create a conversation.
I like that. That's smart.
And that person that's asking me about my sneakers is also a person that's gonna buy sneakers, and I own 2 sneaker stores.
Talk us to about that.
All right. So like I said, Nado, I was asking people about their fashion pieces. They were telling me thrifted, and this, and I'm like, at the time, like, I've been poor before, but like, I've never thought about going to a thrift store. I'll be honest with you, I never thought about it. You know, like, not to like sound like crazy, but like when we were growing up, it was like, oh, the thrift stores are for the Mexicans. And I was like, that was like the kind of thing that like my mom shopped at the cheap places, Boscos, Forman Mills. I don't think they have them here, but like the Kmart's. That's where we bought our clothes from, if we bought new clothes. But you know, we never like shopped at, you know, like when Aeropostale Star dropped. That was our thing. 599 shirts all day, Old Navy t-shirts. Like, so that was where my mom shopped at. But we never shopped to the point where we like went to thrift stores. So it was like a thing to me when my boy brought it up. But everybody was telling me, oh, I got this from a thrift store. I was like, nice. This was like NASCAR shirts was popping. So I'm like, where you get that shirt from? Thrift store. I'm like, okay. So me and my boy go, and he finally gets me to go to the thrift store right down Granby Street. It's not there no more. So we walk in. I grab like just some random stuff that kind of, you know, like reflected with me, like, you know, like little like Adidas, little like sports shirts and like a couple jerseys. And I bring them back to the shop, and I'm just looking through them. Somebody like, can I buy that? And I'm like, hold on. And that just sparked from me, like, yo, like I just paid $2 for that. You gave me $20. That's $18 profit. Most people don't make $18 an hour.
That's a crazy come up. So you're like a light bulb moment.
Light bulb. And then, like I said, so from there we just start thrifting a lot. Flea market, a lot. Traveling for flea markets. So our initial plan with the locker room was vintage clothes, barbershop. So that's how we launched it, a vintage clothes barbershop.
It was in the same space.
No. Oh, initially it was
It's right next to.
It's right next to the
lounge.
barbershop.
Oh, yeah.
Right next to the bar. Everything's on that Granby Street. Well, the first 3 initial.
Yeah. So I'm saying when you started.
Locker room was a rack of clothes inside the barbershop. Oh, wow. First, the Granby Street barbershop. So we started with the rack of clothes. Then COVID hit. And I had a salon down the street. And the salon, the girls didn't want to come back. Like, we're going to work from home. We make more money. And they're kids. And they can go back to school. I'm like, all right. So the plan, I took it from the salon, put clothes in there, put 2 barber chairs in there. Let's get it. And then we had a reseller in there that was selling sneakers. And I'm like, this kid had the most unprofessional kid I ever met selling sneakers. Most unprofessional kid. And he was selling like 20, 30 sneakers a day. Most unprofessional kid like showed up late. Like he told people meet him there at 11. He showed up at 1 o'clock. High as hell. I'm like, still selling 20, 30 sneakers a day. I'm like, okay. If he can do it. Once we kicked him out, we agreed to him for the leave. I was like, we can do sneakers. So that's when we started doing sneakers. I didn't want to do sneakers. So I give the credit to like Cole, which is now my partner. You saw an exchange. I give credit to Cam, which is my store manager. And I give credit to another barber named Carlos. He used to cut you. Those 3 guys like, maybe you should do sneakers. I'm like, no, absolutely not.
You already had the network for it. You just didn't think about it like
that. That's it. And then that's why I promote myself so much. Because Nado's a network. So it's like, now it's just like, I want to make it to a point where it's like, I'm selling this. I'll buy it. I'm selling a toothbrush. I'm buying it. So that's kind of what I'm scaling to this year. Is like promoting my brand and the brand. So it's just like whatever we put on those pages, and like that's what it is now. Like on locker room stores, like whatever we put up, yo, I need that. And that's what we want to create, and we want to grow, and we're growing. We have another store open up hopefully end of this year.
I love that. Awesome. What is the goal for you? You have multiple businesses now.
The goal?
Yeah, the goal.
The end goal. 3 years from now.
Okay.
2000 and we're in 24, 28. 2028 is my son's graduation. That year, I want to go sit on the beach and run my business from a laptop.
I love that. That's beautiful.
That's my business. And then I'll be able to travel, see my girls play basketball, see my son play whatever he does after high school. And that's it.
For people that follow you on social media, you make it look easy, you make it look fun. Tell us about some of the challenges of entrepreneurship and some myths that you think that that you hear about being.
I mean, we talked about the biggest myth is that you can do it all. That's not true. You can't do none of this alone. If you want to sit inside of a room by yourself and cut X, Y, and Z clients for the rest of your life, you can do it alone. If you want to grow and sit on the beach and take vacations and go see your kids' college football games and basketball games, you need a team. Because right now, I can come here, I can go places like I'm going to DC this weekend. Next week, I'm going to Atlanta. The week after that, I'm going to Fort Lauderdale. Why I can do that? Because my team's going to hold my businesses down.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, you need a team. And that's the biggest myth. People think you could do it alone, selfishness. Like, don't get me wrong. I've been in my space where I've been selfish here and there. And the only thing I got from that is a headache. You know, now as far as business, it's not everybody got to go. Also, that's the other flip side of it. Everybody thinks because Joe started with me, Joe has to be there at the end line. No, Joe don't want to run that pace. You got to keep running.
Go, bro. Some people,
Man, that hits hard.
No, that hits hard for me. Like I said, like I started with certain people that are no longer around. Like, and I have no beef with none of those people. I love people to death, but it's like because you love them, don't mean they gotta run with you. And if they don't want to run, let them walk.
Yeah,
let them figure it out on their own. I used to hold on dear to people, and I used to be heartbroken when people left. Heartbroken people I didn't want to be around. That's okay, bro. You don't want to be here, don't worry about it. Tomorrow, we're still gonna eat.
yeah. So, Nado, one thing you do that's very interesting is you offer free haircuts, right? So, can you tell us a bit about that and where that idea came from?
So the idea, so what I noticed is there's two things to that. It's like one, I want to help people. There's a lot of people that can't afford haircuts. Haircuts aren't cheap anymore. Like, you know what I'm saying? Kids' haircuts $25 to $35. That's a kid's haircut.
Mm-hmm.
I remember paying $15 for an adult haircut at one point in my life. So haircuts aren't cheap. And there's kids and adults out there that cannot afford that, bro. And then the thing about it was setting up those adults up for failure. So think about it. If I'm an adult that can't afford a haircut and I had to go to a job interview and you walk in, I don't know your story. So I'm just judging you off what you look. And if you look scruffy, guess what? More than likely, I'm going to say, yo, you need to carry ass. Because like I said, you should look presentable for a job, but some people can't afford it. So one of the things I do is if you're in a job interview or if you just can't afford a haircut, come by and get a free haircut. And then on the other flip side of that, I'll always offer my first service for free because it's a business move. It's like a sample. When you walk into the mall and you get a little sample of chicken, you're like, yo, that chicken was amazing. Instead of going to Subway where I was going to go, I'm going to eat the Chinese food. So it's just a sample, bro.
What does it mean to be an asset in your business? Like, what does a asset mean to you?
Someone that does their job, bro. As far as individuals, you gotta do their job. But people think this is rocket science. Show up to work and work. That's the thing. People show up. It's people that will sit in this office or whatever office you're in, and they'll be there, but they won't put in the work. Or people are just looking at their clock, ready to check the clock out.
Going through the motions.
Yeah, that's it. And like I said, like what I got to do today, and that's it. Entrepreneurship. After that, entrepreneurship is what more do I have to do today? Like today, I went to the locker room and I had job interviews. I had, a couple other things I do. Still working on my personal health and all that stuff. And I still, on top of that, was creating reels, not just for myself. I created a reel for myself, the VIP lounge, the locker room. And like I said, I don't do it all individually.
Yeah.
If I have the 30 minutes, I'm gonna go create. Every moment counts.
Yep. Like content, at least the branding and such.
I mean, content is who rules the world right now. But it doesn't end there. A lot of people are like, I put it in a reel and it didn't work. Did you talk to the people that liked your reel? Did you message them? I have already set messages that I send people as soon as you like, yo, bro. And I tell people one client a reel. Stop worrying about 10,000 views. Like I said, if you get 10,000 views, great. 20,000 views, great. But I tell you the truth, I had 963,000 views on a funny reel, and that didn't help my business at all. And I get $4 or $5 on most of my views, and I get a client per.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It's all about the leads that you capture. I tell people that all the time because people look at me for social media. So I always say, man, it's not just necessarily about the views and things like that. And don't even pay attention to likes. Pay attention to the people that reach out to you, the leads that you can capture, and build a relationship.
And creating, and like I said, not every person's a customer, but their friend might be a customer.
Exactly.
There's a time all the time people be like, oh, you cut hair. Why are you talking to females? They have kids. They have husbands. They have brothers, sisters that might get haircuts.
Exactly.
There's all the time. I send a girl a message, hey, if you ever need a haircut. What I'm going to do with a haircut? Well, tell your son. I see you have a son on your page. Tell your son. And get personal. And like, not too personal where it's like creepy, but like, if you brief to her page, she follows you, you follow her, and you see you got a son, like, let me touch your son's hair. It's on me.
Yep.
I'm going to tell you that if you get a son that's 5'6", that kid's going to stay with you forever. You cut his hair, it's going to stay with you forever.
Yeah.
Kid gonna stay with you longer than an adult
because they feel more comfortable.
Yeah, unless you make that kid a couple times. You look on that kid's page, you see like Barney, put that on TV, and it's like, oh my God, he cares. Well, don't get me wrong, I do care on my clients, but like I said, go the extra mile. That's what I tell people all the time. Like I tell people all the time, hot towels. A lot of barbershops don't do hot towels. I do a hot towel on every client, and guess what? It makes the client feel better. It doesn't make the haircut better. It doesn't make the face better. It doesn't. It's a hot towel with essential oil on it. But that service and them getting something different,
Yeah.
they're okay with giving me whatever I charge.
Yeah, for sure. So I know people look up to you in the barber space, right? So speak to like a new barber. What's one piece of advice that you would give a new barber in the industry?
Show up to work,
Mhm.
and do everything you can. And when you think about this, we have the AIs and all this other stuff. Like, bro, find out what your favorite barber and the barber you don't like is doing right and wrong, and do all of it. I used to do a checklist where it's like every single idea I see that barbers are doing, I'll write it out and I'll try it all. There's no reason you should be sitting on your phone unless you're working. I tell barbers all the time, like I send barbers home when they're watching Netflix. No, don't put Netflix on here. Go home and watch it. It's more comfortable from your couch than in my barber chair.
Yeah.
What's your point of you sitting here? Sitting around waiting for clients. Don't get me wrong, we have a great walking clientele, all our barbershops. But like I said, sitting around waiting for clients makes you building. Record every single haircut. Record. Put out there. And you don't have to, people think it's like, oh, I like being in front of the camera. You don't have to. You don't have to be in front of the camera. Record the haircut. Yep. Record the barbershop. Make a different caption for each one, different audio. There's ways around everything. Every excuse is a way around it. And I'm real big on no excuses.
For sure.
I'm real big on it.
Hey, man, me too, bro.
I probably ruined like 2-3 relationships. They gonna see this video like, yeah, I hate him now. But it's like I be sitting around with like even like my female companions or people around me. I'm like, bro, what are you doing, bro? You told me you were broke. How you dating?
Yep.
How you on a date right now? You just told me you couldn't pay your car note, but you on a date right now. Well, you going to DC? No, you're not. You're not going to DC with me. Like I said, I know I'm not. I'm going to DC. I'm going to enjoy myself. You can't afford to enjoy yourself right now, bro. And like I said,
They don't want you to pay for it.
no, not even.
It's the okie doke.
Yeah, no.
I'm just saying, nigga.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like it's like yo, like
So the thing is, I gotta check in.
my boy be like, yo, on a date, kind of nervous. No, you kind of broke. You're not kind of nervous. You're kind of broke. You should be home. Unless that female's paying for your date, you should be home working at content, working on something, or be in the barbershop.
Yep.
Or whatever it is that you do. Like you'll be like, oh, the industry's slow. No, you're slow. Industry ain't slow. There's millionaires out here from every industry that we're in. You're slow.
Yeah.
The shop is slow. The shop ain't slow. You're slow. It's like our barbers booked out.
Yep. Just put in the work.
So, if you could go back and tell your 21-year-old self one piece of advice, what would you tell your younger self?
Stop fighting. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause you should be like, you're in defense mode. As a young kid, you think everybody's against you. You know, like I said, there's a lot of relationships, friendships that I probably would have still had or wasn't fighting. And I'm not meaning in a physical form, just mentally too.
Absolutely.
You're fighting back. You think everybody's against you. You think everybody is like, oh, if you're not with me, that means you're against me. That's not true. You just have a different path. But you don't realize as a kid, like you're DJing and your homeboy don't show up, but you're at the edge, he goes to chemistry, you're like, oh, he don't F with me no more. But that's not the truth. He just enjoyed that place a little bit better. And that's something that like you don't realize. Like even like my friends that don't get their haircuts with me. When I first started cutting hair, I'm like, damn, bro, you don't rock with me? But I realized this dude been getting his haircut like 10 years by the same person. And I just started. How can I take that? You know what I'm saying? I gotta compete with that. But you don't realize that as an immature kid because you're like, oh, you don't rock with me, bro. Nah, they rock with you. They just know where they like their stuff at. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, 100%.
So I would say stop fighting.
Absolutely.
Mentally and physically.
Yeah. So you've been an entrepreneur for some years now, right? So you've seen a lot of experience, went through a lot of things, good and bad. So tell us, what's the craziest experience, a story that you have as an entrepreneur?
Uh-oh.
Oh, man. Without throwing names out there,
Yep.
I'm going to say contracts are important. Paperwork is important. Because you get people that you meet and it feels good. Everything feels good. When La La Land is there, everything feels good. It's like the what they call it, the honeymoon phase.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Everything feels good, bro. I'm gonna do this, and you gonna do this, and high five, bro. We're bros forever. There's no paperwork. Then you're like, when it's time to, he wants to say F you. So the craziest thing I've seen, and saying that, say this is like, I had a same situation like that where it's like, I fell in love with a business partner. Not actually like we needed paperwork and not like that. This man was in church and God was everything. Everything he spoke was God. And like the business wasn't doing as well. I took it over and me and him, instead of me, he wanted me to buy him out. I was like, nah, bro, you're my friend. High five, bros. We bought the business together, and like the money started flipping immediately. The money started going crazy. So we went from $400 profit a month to $4,000 the first month.
Nice.
And I said it was only going to grow from there.
Yeah.
And as soon as that happened, bro was like, well, I want you out.
Oh.
And it was just like, he didn't want me out. He wanted to create specific things like the barbers that was already there. The money should go to him. And this and that.
Yeah.
And I said, I have no hard feelings. I couldn't understand where he was coming from. And even now, like as I say the story, I don't understand where he's coming from. But I feel like if I wasn't in fight mode at that time, we could have come to a solution, but there was no paperwork. There was nothing. So like I said, it's just the way the high fiving bros and honeymoon sounds good. But if you got it on paper, it's on paper.
Absolutely. That black and white.
That black and white. This is what it says, bro. We can't argue nothing else about it.
Absolutely. So at this point in the episode, bro, we open up the floor to you. We've been asking you a whole lot of questions. We've been grilling you. We allowed a guest to ask both Chris and I one question. Nothing's off limits. So go ahead and ask us each one question, bro.
Chris, you seem you have a lot of knowledge on business. What would you think is the number one reason businesses are failing? The businesses that are failing, industries that are failing, what do you think is the cause of that?
They are slow to change. I think that's the biggest thing. A lot of businesses that are failing, they're stuck in their ways. And they're like, okay, we did this for X amount of years and we were successful at some point in time, so we're going to stick to it. It's like, let's talk about the .com era when the internet started to explode and such. A lot of businesses were like, nah, we don't need that. We're going to stick to our phone books and what we've been doing. And now they're way far under their lost cause. Nobody thinks of them anymore because they were slow to change. But you have to get with the times, regardless of what you think worked in the before. It's about, getting with the times. So even now, like with AI and everything, if you're a business and you're not getting with AI, you need to ASAP, regardless of how you feel about it, whether you think robots going to take over the world, whatever, that doesn't matter, because this is the new thing. And if you don't get with the times, you're going to be just like those businesses back then with the .com area. So you got to get with the times, I would say. And I think that's why, businesses are failing. They're just lacking getting with the times.
Have you ever heard?
What?
Just a quote. Have you ever heard the story of the BlackBerry? Why the BlackBerry failed?
I haven't. Tell me about it.
Well, you want me to tell you about it now?
Yeah.
So basically, the BlackBerry, he was doing all the chips for the first iPhones and all that stuff. And they told him, yo, we need to do more than just email and text. And he was like, no, this is what works. Mind you, he's making the chips for all these other iPhones. He's like, this is stupid. A screen is stupid. And that's why the BlackBerry failed. He went from a $50 million company to $0.
It wouldn't evolve.
He wouldn't evolve, even though he still, to this day, still does chips and stuff for a lot of those companies. But he was like, nah, the BlackBerry is what we need to stick to.
Wow.
He stuck to that. So there's a book called Think Again that I'm reading, and that's the first thing you talk about, that story, where it's like, he wouldn't evolve. Mind you, the BlackBerry at that time was it. You had that phone, you was it. That was the it phone. But that's when the iPhone started dropping, and this started dropping. They were like, yo, we need to put a bigger screen. I ain't like, no, absolutely not. But if you look at the BlackBerry story, that's what everybody talks about. That's why I use it as reference. Like, if you don't evolve with content, stuff like that, you're going to get stuck and you're going to die.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So my question for you is,
yes, sir,
do you feel like a business can succeed in the era we're in without content?
Whew. That's tough, man.
When I say content, I mean social media, social network.
Yeah,
not just their .com.
No, absolutely. I believe you're limiting yourself if you don't do content. You're limiting. A lot of people, what I realized, for me, obviously I was never big on social media. I never participated a lot on social media. When I was in the club era, I had no social media. It was all personal relationships and everything. But as times evolve, like you guys just spoke about, you got to evolve. And one thing I can tell you is I don't enjoy social media. I don't. But I realize and respect the power of social media. And even with me, I have very limited following. But those people that follow me are engaged with me. They trust me. Everything I say is kind of law to them because I've had a certain proof of concept. And it's hard to show people you have proof of concept without social media, because now they see everything that you're doing in real time. like one of my brothers says, is documentation over conversation, right? So when you're able to document your journey and the path you're on and the success you have, you're able basically to promote yourself. And there is no TV anymore. Ain't nobody watching TV commercials. And that is social media. And so the power of content, without that, you're going up your competition. You have to look at it, right? When you're in business, you're at war. Business is war. And you're looking at your competition. What is your competition doing? They doing content, I promise you. The leader in whatever space you in got some type of content that's popping. And so for you to dismiss that and not evolve or get with the times, you're doing yourself and your business a disservice. I think that one thing I could tell people if they're not actively doing content, because I'm new on the content journey. We just started this probably at the beginning of this year. I started doing my YouTube channel. It's work, man. I don't necessarily, I enjoy this more than anything else because of the guests like yourself. We get to bring on, we get to hear people's story, journey. We get to learn. I love doing this type of content because for me, it's giving back too, because it's free. So people that watch this, they're able to gain some wisdom and knowledge. But like I said, people didn't realize it's work. But hey, anything worth having is hard work. So for all the people watching this, they want to follow Nado. How do they follow you? What's your business pages? Shout out all your businesses.
So I put to make it easy for people, because that's the problem I be having. I'll be like, follow this page. You go to thisisnado.com, and everything's up there.
Thisisnado.com.
Thisisnado.com. You go right there, and everything, all the locker room stores, the restaurant, the marketing company. Because like I said, the same way I'm giving this information, like I give this information one-on-one to people. Because a lot of people, like, they be lost.
Yeah.
Like, they be like, this is where I want to be, and this is where I am, and they have no clue in the middle. The knowledge is there, but it's so much knowledge that you might get confused and lost on it. The same thing I tell barbers when they go to YouTube, they type in how to fade, and it's like 3 million videos. So like I said, I try to create from point A to point B, and that's kind of a company that I'm working on currently, is helping people from A to B, and then C, D, E, F. However far they want to go. Not a marketing company, because the marketing company, I feel like, babysits people. Mm-hmm. I feel like more like a resource company. Information. You want to know real estate? I got a guy. You want to know what's called? I got a guy. Now I'm gonna charge the guy and you, and now I'm gonna
connector.
Connect the dots.
Love
the local Google.
Local Google.
Well, that's a great way to end it. Nado, we appreciate you. This was definitely insightful.
Yes,
I know.
Yes, sir.
Value for someone. So we appreciate you again. Let's talk assets.
Peace.